Okay, so we are here with another type of video for today, something a little bit different, but this is basically going to be all about Bubblegum Simulator 2 and why it will most likely never happen, especially in the near future and with the new game Rumble Studios is making. So let's get straight into it. So I've seen a lot of people recently, especially in my comment section, talking about BGS 2 and getting excited for it, asking when it's going to happen, asking things about it, and just talking about it in general. And honestly, I'm not really too sure why people are expecting BGS 2 to happen, because it really does seem like the complete opposite of what what people are going to be expecting for BGS 2. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. Now, this whole thing about BGS 2 is obviously happening because we got Mining Simulator 2, which was something that I don't think a lot of people expected to happen. And of course, BGS was like the biggest game Rumble Studios has ever had. So a lot of people are pretty much just assuming that the next game will be BGS 2. But I honestly do not think it will be, for one main reason. And if you watch some previous videos about the new game, you will know that Isaac said the new game will not be based around AFK. Now, when it comes to AFK, that's pretty much the reason why Mining Simulator 2 died, because it just became an AFK hatching game and it became pretty boring, and that's the main reason why BGS 2 will not happen, because BGS was honestly just a complete AFK hatching game, through and through. To be honest, the whole bubblegum stuff wasn't really important at that point. You literally had to do it to start the game. Once you got a few gems, you could quite easily just go through the whole game without having to do any more clicking whatsoever. So yeah, the game 100% was based around just the whole AFK hatching thing, and that is also what MS2 has also become as well, which is the real reason why it will not be BGS 2 for the next game, as a BGS and BGS 2 will always be AFK hatching games. There's not really any way to change that, I don't think. And I do believe as well, when it comes to BGS, of course, with the whole AFK thing, considering the fact that we're going to get some quests and stuff, and just other things to do, does also kind of drag it away from BGS as well. Now, of course, it could potentially mean that we will get a complete remake and a different style from what BGS was in terms of having BGS 2, but I honestly just think they will go down a completely different path for a multitude of reasons. Now, of course, BGS was their biggest game through and through, in terms of just player numbers, player count, all-time views, all-time plays, all that kind of stuff. Of course, BGS was 100% their biggest game. However, it does seem like right now, in terms of AFK hatching games and that kind of style, they really are starting to fall out of favour, mostly because, it's just the way the trends go. Trends change and people just want to do new stuff. And of course as well, in terms of AFK hatching and things like that, I feel like Pet Simulator X really does have that kind of tied down, and really just, it's mostly where people will go to AFK hatch no matter what. So it's time to, it's the fact that, BGS will always be an AFK hatcher, and there's not really a market for it right now, with the terms of Pet Simulator X being so big and just so powerful in terms of the whole community for AFK hatching and just simulators in general. So they definitely do need to do something different and something completely new to actually get those players back from Pet Simulator X. Now, it's the same reason as well why Mining Simulator 2 basically did so well, was the fact that Mining Simulator 2 released at the perfect time when the whole Pet Simulator X game was at its lowest. There was no updates happening to the game, and if they were just pretty bad updates, to be honest. I believe that was also the time when Pet Simulator X was kind of going between a dev change and stuff like that, or a dev team change anyways. So of course, Mining Simulator 2 could definitely take advantage of that, and probably actually reached bigger numbers than it should have done, to be honest, just in terms of the fact that if this game released right now, it 100% would not have reached the 80,000 players that it got up to in the first place. So honestly, like I'm saying, basically it just really will not be anything like BGS, because there's no market for it right now. Of course, it will get a lot of short-term attention, in terms people will definitely come back. It'll probably even peak at quite a high number, maybe even bigger than Pet Simulator X in the first place. However, after a month, 2 months, the game will die out once again because it will just become a get AFK hatcher, and it's honestly what the dev team want to avoid, it's what we want to avoid, and it's what everybody wants to avoid as well. So in terms of a BGS 2, it's just off the books for now. One other thing as well that you might be able to realise is the fact that I do believe the dev team, or just Rumble Studios in general, have talked about BGS 2 before, and the fact that they just do not want to do it, for the simple fact that they could have just kept updating BGS quite easily, and the reason they stopped updating BGS was the fact that they were just getting tired of the game. They wanted to do a new project, which of course was MS2, so I think it's the fact that there's not really any passion for the dev team either to do BGS 2, which makes 100% sense for just the simple fact that it was just basically one egg updates all the time, and it's basically what MS2 is now. So hopefully the new game does completely avoid that. They have said as well, or Isaac has said, that they are kind of avoiding that kind of thing, or hoping to avoid that kind of thing with some pre-planning and stuff as well, which is always really good. So I genuinely just think it will be some sort of simulator. However, it will just be completely different from something that we've seen from Rumble Studios before. It might be a collector simulator like Pet Sim X, or like Anime Fighter Simulator or something like that, or it could just be, you know, like a mining simulator kind of game, but without the eggs, I guess you could say. So there'll be some sort of like objectives to do, such as, you know, going down a mine, but there won't actually be eggs to actually hatch, which could be something different as well. I'm honestly not too sure, but yeah, this is just a few reasons why it won't be BGS 2, and honestly I think it's a good thing that it will not be BGS 2, just for the simple fact that the game will have such a short-term life. It honestly won't be worth it. The nostalgia will be there at first, but everyone will then get bored of it. It'll kind of just fall down again. And honestly, I think for a lot of people, there won't really be that kind of passion to restart again in terms of BGS 2. I think the really good thing between MS1 and MS2 was they were so far apart in terms of their creation. I think MS1 was brought out in 2015, 2016, and then of course MS2 was brought out in 2022. So yeah, that's 6 years gap, and of course Roblox as an actual game has developed a lot since then. So there's a lot more for the developers to actually be able to work with and use in terms of having a much better game, a much more optimized game. But in terms of BGS and BGS 2, of course there's still those 4 years. I believe BGS 1 came out in 2018 or something like that. So of course there is still quite a lot of years between there. But I think really in terms of Roblox as a whole, there's not really been too much development in there, and of course there's not really too much of a change in things, so it just really would not make sense for BGS 2 to be released at all. So yeah, let me know down below what you guys think of this whole thing. Do you think BGS 2 will be a game? Do you think it will happen sooner rather than later? In my personal opinion, if BGS 2 was to actually come out, it would 100% just be a sort of a attention grab. I'm not going to say money grab, because of course I know Isaac and the dev team don't really make games for money, at least they've mentioned that before, but I think it'll just be some sort of nostalgia grab. Say they are just kind of losing attention as a dev team as a whole. Maybe they'll just bring out BGS 2 just to kind of get some attention short term whilst they're working on something else as well. But yeah, in terms of a massive project like they say they are working on right now, BGS 2 will not be that thing. It just doesn't make sense at all. So yeah, let me know down below what you guys think of this whole thing. Do you think BGS 2 will actually come out? Do you think the next game will be BGS 2? And what do you actually think the next game will be as well? Let me know down below in the comments. But yeah, that's it from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.